Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're all having a wonderful night tonight. This is going to be the first stream back in my now home state of South Dakota for 2025. Sorry for everyone that was waiting on stuff from me. I was literally gone for 2 weeks, and now I am back and back to doing work for those guys who have bought stuff from me. Did a lot of work today and barely got in time ready for the stream tonight. So it's going to be kind of a shorter stream, I think, because there's not that much that I really want to cover tonight, other than some of the new optics that got teased over the last couple days. Some very interesting design choices, we'll say, from some interesting companies. So that should be cool enough. Specifically, of course, the Aimpoint, what do they call it now? The COA. Very good naming convention on their part. But before we get into that, to pay the bills, of course, we have a sponsor. And that sponsor is the memeable Gun Slaps with their stickers, patches, and flags as well. You can see I have the neighborhood Warlord, could be about the same thing behind me. So if you use code FT20, you could save yourself 20%. It used to be 10%, but they went ahead and updated it to 20%. Hello, I'm Ton Dillon. I wonder what that could be in reference to. Weaponized autism. And of course, if you're not familiar with their Instagram page, they make some pretty funny memes and sometimes very relevant to what we're going to be discussing. So if interested, go ahead and check out Gun Slaps and use code FT20 to save yourself 20%. But with all that shilling out of the way, next thing is that, as promised, or as alluded to, Mr. X-Ray Alpha is actually back. So X-Ray Alpha, his Instagram and his website was down for a month and a half, 2 months, post the live stream that we did together, but he is now back to work doing all sorts of fun stuff. So as soon as he came back, he immediately started making the right people angry, let's say. It's a very, very funny follow. 100% recommend. All right, but now with that stuff out of the way, oh yeah, I know that he keeps going too. Very funny follow. Totally recommend. And actually, before we get to the main story, while people are still rolling in tonight, so we have a couple busy weeks ahead of us. So we have SHOT Show coming up on the 21st through 25th. I won't be at the SHOT Show range day, but I am actually flying in 2 days early. So I'm flying into Vegas, I think, on the 19th, like late on the 19th. And then I'm driving down to Arizona, where Ben Steger and Matt Pranka are teaching a pistol class. So I will be down there with them for at least a day, if not more, and then driving right back up to do SHOT Show for 3 or 4 days. So I think there will be a video coming out of that. Maybe I'll get to film the training class that they're doing, which could be good. Maybe do an interview or something like that while I'm down there with them. So some fun potential stuff coming up with Matt Pranka and Ben Steger. But back to the actual reason that we're here is that Glock and Aimpoint decided to do a collaboration of sorts. So you have the new, what do they call it? The COA pistol optic and the direct milled Aimpoint optic that goes along with the Glock. So they are only compatible with each other. There are no other optics as of this moment that use this footprint. And this footprint really only exists because of Glock's downsides that they have not changed for the last, 40 years or so. So in the advent of red dots being so popular on handguns, the Glock slide is not very tall. And so the extractor channel is very, very close to the surface. So because that's where most screws are getting milled into for a red dot into the slide, you don't get a lot of depth. At most, you get about 2 threads of retention from the screw into your optic into the actual slide itself. So you have like the Glock MOS cut, which moves the screws around a little bit, but that's never been done particularly well. aftermarket slides, which is what I use. But again, you have that very limited thread depth. There are a few aftermarket slides like Shadow Systems, where they actually just shorten the extractor channel so that you can get full engagement of your threads. And now we have, and there's also, of course, direct milled options as well. Andrew was actually telling me this before that Glock has been selling, I believe, the 45 direct milled for acro and 509T, of course, mostly for the Aimpoint, though the 509T shares the same footprint. And it's kind of annoying because Glock does have the ability to improve things and just make a better optics mounting system. But instead, they decided to collab for another proprietary system from Aimpoint. So the handgun and the optic are kind of inseparable. So let's read this out. In collaboration with Aimpoint, the pioneer of red dot sights, Glock introduces a specialized pistol and red dot sight combo offering unparalleled accuracy and reliability. This exclusive package includes a selected Glock pistol with pre-installed Aimpoint COA red dot sight. The jointly developed A-cut allows the red dot to be mounted directly on the pistol without the need for adapter plates. This optimized system, quote unquote, creates a secure and stable connection between the Aimpoint COA and the Glock pistol. So we'll get a few more detail shots of it. Actually, I haven't watched this. Oh dear. Let's turn the music off so I don't get hit by it. So we can see the optic. It is not an acro. That is something that is actually very important, is that the new optic is, let's pull this up on YouTube actually. This is going to be much better here. So the optic is not an acro. It is different. Everything's been changed. The glass is different. The body is different, which is probably a good thing, right? Because if they were like, hey, we repackaged the mount on an acro, and now you can only mount it on this one specific handgun, probably be really lame, right? But by updating the optic, you might end up with a actually decent red dot versus a overpriced piece of garbage like the acros tend to be. Sorry. So you can see that the optic gets cammed into position in the front. It has almost like a dovetail mount, not a dovetail mount, but it gets cammed into position where it's held in by the actual slide. So it slots in, gets pressed down, and then there's a separate retention plate that gets drilled in behind it, right? The reason that they do that is because there's a lot more material on the back of the slide that's not actually in the optics cut. So you can get a lot more thread connection between your optic, even though this is not with the optic. There are no screws holding the optic to the body directly, right? The optic gets kind of rotated into position, and then you have a retention plate that gets screwed in behind it. So while you don't have a mounting plate, you now have a retention plate. So there's still the exact same amount of parts. So it's not really even direct milled, if that makes sense. Glock perfection meets Aimpoint performance, which that probably meant more a little while ago. The A-cut technology, so you can see how it sits inside of the slide itself. Now, this, in some ways, does have some benefits, right? Because it sits very low with no plate and no screws underneath the optic so that it has direct co-witness. I believe the deck height is just above the slide itself. So even with standard height Glock sights, sorry, I didn't realize this moved so far away. Even with standard height Glock sights, you still get co-witness through the optic, which I know a lot of people are happy with. It doesn't mean too much for competitors or for speed shooters, but for a duty role, I think it probably gives people a little bit more confidence. Yeah, they say a very secure and reliable hold, and we'll see bottom pictures of the optic. You can see that there is a lot of contact surface between the slide and the optic itself, which is, again, in theory, a good thing. All right, but that's probably enough of that video. We have actual much better pictures to get to. So right now, from Glock, they have the Gen 5 A cut. So this is only going to be available with certain handguns, and it's going to be direct from Glock or their distributors, of course. So right now, this is the Gen 5 G19 A cut, which again is only going to come with the Aimpoint COA or COA. Yeah, that's the right one. I can't keep up with all the acronyms. So you have a little bit of everything. Of course, all the standard Gen 5 stuff. We don't really care about that. And I think they have a dedicated page, this page right here, a dedicated page for the Aimpoint COA. So you can see it is a fairly tall optic, which I think people will like. Most of the time, left and right width on a pistol red dot doesn't really matter that much. Most people, when they're actually shooting it, and they like to see the dot at all times, even though that's probably not how you should be shooting for speed and precision. But the bigger windows do help, and it is nice. It is a nice thing to have. So now, allegedly, 50,000 hours of battery life on one battery. Again, that's really never attainable in the real world under real conditions. It's kind of one of those things that everybody says, but at real daylight bright illumination, you're probably still changing your battery out every year or so. Now, submersible to 25 meters. Now, the original Acro and Acro P2 have a habit of allowing water in when not submerged. So that could be interesting to see if that actually holds up. And I'm not sure if there's too much more that's of interest here. Well, we'll take a look at the bottom of the optic. So you can see that I think it has 8 daylight settings, 4 night vision settings, or something like that, but should be pretty good. Aimpoint usually has at least a decent glass. Excuse me. Right, yeah, Fokker says submerged to 25 meters doubles as a water container going forward. And so you can see on the bottom how you have the front lip that kind of gets cammed into position, and then you have the left and right bosses because the body actually like fits into the slide a little better. And it's just an interesting setup. Is it actually going to be good? Who knows? Now, Lucas had his take on this, which I don't really agree with, so I thought this would be a little interesting to talk about. It says, what gun company is most likely to produce a pistol with a red dot milled directly into the slide? Directly into the slide. So a slide that is also the optic. Removable electronics and guts battery, but the housing of the optic is part of the slide, permanent and rugged. So... So, and then if you read the caption, it says, the new Glock / Aimpoint combo is cool, but I want a handgun with the optic built in. Now, I disagree with that. I think that is a recipe for disaster. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice already. I might actually need to pause for a second and go get like something to ease my throat because it is actually difficult to talk right now. Jeez. All right. Ooh. Excuse me. Right. So monolithic slide and red dot. So this has been tried before on rifles. FS 2000. The AUG had a version with a built-in optic, and they almost always get outdated very quickly. So I don't see the advantage of that sort of thing. Would it be cool as like a collector's piece or like as a piece of history? Sure, but I don't think that that's something that people would actually like all that much. And then if it is actually truly user serviceable, where you can take out the electronics and the battery and all that sort of stuff, I'm not sure how I would trust its longevity. And again, if you're gonna completely marry something like that, then it's just gonna become completely worthless after X amount of time. Wow. Here, let me make a quick phone call. see if I can get something for my throat real fast because I'm dying here. I was not this bad before we started. All right, so let's pull this back up for a second. Actually, well, while we're here, let's do this to ease my talking problems for the moment. So the next thing that we have to talk about is going to be the Primary Arms HTX, which is a made in America PLX red dot from Primary Arms. So this got announced, I believe, yesterday. So let's go ahead and listen to this while I'm dying.
What's up? It's Steve with Primary Arms Optics with some super exciting news for you today. We are going to be talking about something that we've kind of hinted at over the last couple of years. If you've been paying attention, you know we've been standing up manufacturing here in Houston, Texas. That's right, we're starting to make stuff here in the USA. The first product that we are bringing to market from our new manufacturing facility is the new Primary Arms Optics PLX series HTX1. HTX because we're here in Houston, Texas, so why not call it where it's being made with the first Houston produced optic in our industry. Some of the new features of the HTX optic, which are completely different than any of the other ones out there, it is not footprint specific. So it doesn't matter what you're mounting it on, whether it's a Glock with an MOS cut, whether it's something with an RMR, whether it is a rail grabber. It doesn't matter. You don't have to buy specific models for your specific product. It is one model and it's adaptable to about 95% of the optics cut pistols that are on the market today. We do that with the patent pending chassis system. So the chassis system actually takes the footprint of the optic itself, and that's what.
All right. So it's supposed to be, instead of having the optic fit multiple slides, you have like a adapter metal plate that the optic gets screwed into. So it's kind of a unique solution, at least different. So could be interesting, but there's some issues that we'll talk about in just.
What's adapting it to your pistol slide. With the 3 chassis that come with the HTX itself, you have one for the RMR A cut, one for the RMR B cut, so things like your ZEV slides or anything with those threaded bosses that go up into the optic itself, or directly compatible with the Glock MOS cut. Using these chassis, we can also get these things lower than any of the other enclosed or open reflexes on the market. You can see on some of the pistols that we've got here, mounted on a standard Glock MOS cut, the bottom of our window is actually level with the top of the slide. So
yeah, so it's just plates with a different name, basically. It's still using a plate, but instead of buying, well, I guess no, it would kind of work the same way because you're still buying a different plate for each cut, but the way it mounts to the optic doesn't change. So it's basically still the same thing.
You don't need to swap your sights out for suppressor height sights. You don't need to have that big boat anchor grappling hook hanging off the front of your gun anymore. You don't have to change your holsters anymore. All you've got to do is slide our dot on and you're good to go. You can completely co-witness through our HTX1 with your stock height Glock sights. No need to change them anymore. Now, the overall footprint of this is still extremely small. So the housing itself is just over 22 millimeters wide, and we're at about 18 millimeters tall. Our window is actually 20 millimeters by 15 millimeters. So that 20 by 15 only accounts for a very small portion of the actual size of the optic. So we're not obscuring a lot of that peripheral view with the body of the optic itself, like some of the other enclosed reflexes that have a very large bezel and end up blocking a lot of your peripheral. We've reinforced the housing on both ends of it, so it is extremely drop and impact resistance.
We'll see about that. So I am probably going to buy one of these. Now, of course, I am, full disclosure, I'm a dealer for Primary Arms Optics. I buy a lot of stuff from their wholesale. I do sell some of their stuff on their website. This is a made in America, made in Texas optic. So I am probably going to buy one. Now, as you can probably tell, being a PLX optic, which is their platinum line, and being made in Texas, it's not going to be cheap. It's not going to be cheap. So
we're running a CR2032 battery that's side mounted, so you don't have to take your dot off to replace the battery. We've actually got 4 different screws to mount this dot itself to the chassis. So we've got one coming in from each side.
So yeah, the way that this mounts is very interesting, which will take, fortunately on their website, they have all of the pictures of how it works, which is unique. So I'll give them that.
And then two going in through the front. Now by doing that, and with the 3D design of our chassis system, we actually have recoil and impact mitigation from all axes. So it doesn't matter if you're trying to rack your slide with the pistol dot itself, if you drop it, if you bang it against the side, if you're going through a doorway and you smack it on top, all of the energy that goes into that dot goes into the chassis and into the slide, and none of it gets put into the hardware itself. And it's not really going to add anything to delay the timing of your slide or the cycling and operation of your slide itself. As long as your pistol has an optics cut, it's ready to go. The HTX-1 is actually available with two separate reticles right out of the gate. You're going to have just a standard 4 MOA dot, which is just like pretty much any of the other dots out there. Nice, crisp, clean, and sharp center aiming point. Or you have the option for our patented ACSS Vulcan reticle. Now, for any of you guys that don't know what the Vulcan reticle is, it's a 250 MOA outer circle. It's designed to fall outside of the field of view as long as you're holding.
The ACSS Vulcan reticle is kind of, I've gone back and forth on it because I have one actually. So talking about Primary Arms pistol optics for a second. Primary Arms has made 4 different variations of their pistol optics. They have the SLX, Mini, Micro, and they have, what else do they have? They have the RS10 and the GLX RS15. I have tried all 4 of their pistol optics. They have yet to make a good one. So maybe on attempt number 5, they can actually make something that is worth buying. And it's, of course, going to be the most expensive one made in America.
Your gun correctly. If you come up off access, bad grip coming out of the holster, you're shooting around a barricade or you're shooting offhand, then you will see that circle sort of come into the window, where with a traditional dot, if it's just a dot, you'll actually lose the dot and you got to.
Ben Stager, I think Ben Stager said something about this, like it's a reticle designed for people who can't shoot. And the way to never need an ACSS reticle is just to practice all of these different things, right? You know, if it's like, if you're designing ways for people to find their dot if they can't find it, they probably can't shoot all that great to begin with. They don't have enough reps. I'm sure for some people who don't have the time, for worse shooters, it can definitely be a crutch to help you out in the beginning, but there is no replacement for just actually getting good. So for me, the ACSS Vulcan reticles on their handguns, pretty much a big waste of time, at least for me.
Sit there and fish for it.
Let's see. Nova says that this Vulcan has a dash string. Does the one you have tried have that? Let me go grab mine. I think it's sitting right there.
With the Vulcan, you don't. You can see the outside of that circle, and you know which way to drive your gun to get it back to center, to get it back on target, saving time, saving a lot of headache, making those split times faster, making first rounds on target much, much faster. Now you can turn that outer circle off if you don't want it. It's really easy. The push button interface on the HTX-1 has a very...
No, so mine has, I have the RS15 here, which is not a good dot. This is like a doctor footprint. Look at those tiny, tiny buttons on that guy. This is the GLX RS15 ACSS Vulcan reticle. So it has the center dot and the huge 250 MOA outer circle. Mine is a solid circle, but it still does the same thing, right? The reason you might segment the circle, in my mind, is to save a little bit of battery life, because one thing about illuminating that huge dot is it also eats up quite a bit of battery life.
Very, very simple button logic. So if you push either one, that will turn it on. If you want it brighter, you push the plus. If you want it dimmer, you push the minus. And if you want to turn that circle off, you push and hold the plus button for 3 seconds. That will cycle the circle either on or off, depending on the current status of the dot. Now to turn it off, you're going to push and hold both.
So I get the idea that the circle seems good for odd presentations. Absolutely. But the best way to not need the circle and the fastest way is just to practice some of those odd presentations, shooting from different positions, one-handed draws, left-handed or off-handed, whatever that happens to be for you, right? That's the best way to actually get good. Because if you're relying on, I know I'm gonna miss or not draw it properly, so I'll just rely on the red dot to tell me where I need to go. That's gonna be way slower than just knowing where you actually need to go. Right. And if you're shooting very fast, it's actually not going to pull up on here, but somebody says that the big circle is kind of just a distraction because as you're drawing and presenting, if you're trying to shoot very quickly, you're just looking for the color on the target in the A zone, you pull the trigger, right? So having that huge circle as you're drawing it up, for some people, that's just more information than what they want. They want to see a dot appear on the target where they want to where they want that bullet to go, and then pull the trigger, right?
The buttons for 3 seconds and that'll shut the dot off, but it's not really necessary because we have our auto live technology baked into it. The auto live is kind of more advanced in this one, so it's actually a two-part auto live. Once the gun sits still for 15 seconds, the outer circle shuts off with the ACSS.
So there's a lot of debate going on about the Vulcan reticle, and some of it I get, right, from a marketing standpoint. Makes a lot of sense. So the Vulcan seems like something you might as well put in. Just turn it off if you don't need it. No need for multiple SKUs. Correct. I imagine the Vulcan emitter is a little more expensive, so I think there's a $50 delta between the Vulcan version and then just the 4MOA dot version. So they can sell it to both people, right? You can be like, this is the best made in America optic, and it's going to help you shoot a little better if you're not too good, right? So you can charge them a little bit more money. And then for everybody else is like, I don't really want that. They can save a little bit of money and grab the one that they actually want, right? Because if they just charged $700 for the Vulcan reticle, sure, you can turn it off, but people aren't going to want to spend the extra money for a feature they don't want in the first place, right? So I'm probably just going to buy the generic 4MOA dot version.
Variant because it figures if you're holding still for 15 seconds, you're on target, you don't need the ring. Now we do that to save battery life. Once the gun sits still for 3 minutes, it goes to sleep completely. And then of course, as soon as you touch the gun or move the gun, everything turns back on. So you're not going to have any delay at all. Most people don't even know that it shuts off. So it's built for that always on status. So you turn it on once you get it and you leave it until you decide not to have it done anymore. So if you guys do have any more questions about it, please feel free to check out.
Damn it. Ah, damn it. Ah, damn it. What did I say? What did I say? Now I got to go back. I lost my train of thought. What was the last thing that I actually said? I think it was on the price delta, right? The price delta between the optics. So most people are probably going to gravitate towards just the 4MOA dot. Most people who are average shooters or very good shooters, they don't want that extra stuff, right? So don't give me 9 extra features that I'm just going to turn off. Just give me what I want, and I will take that money and put it towards something that I actually care about, right? So now moving on to price. Okay, because I think that's what we missed. Yes, I was saying get off my lawn. Only Helen Keller knows. Yeah, this is actually just to check your guys' lip reading ability. That was a test of you, not of me. Yeah, most profound things were never heard. I think I said it. I think I said it better the first time, but that's okay. So the price, I think these are $650 to $700, depending on which version you want, which is expensive, but that I think that still makes them the second most expensive or third most expensive pistol optic out there, because I believe the Trijicon RCR and Trijicon RMR HD are both $700 plus. Right? I think the RMR HD retails for just under $800. And then the RCR is even more expensive.
got our website, or hit us up on our social medias. We'll catch you in the next one.
Gotta remember to unmute myself now. So, exactly. Overton Windex. Actually, Overton, while you're here, I had a bunch of people want to get you on a stream to debate the 1.5 mile shot Red Bull. I know it's an old topic, but I still get that brought up in Discord all the time. So, if you ever wanted to do that, I have some people that would like to chat with you. Now, I saw some other stuff in the chat about just buy, a Holosun with a big window, which I actually did. I think you can actually see it behind me in that box. That is the 507C comp, which I just got today. And yeah, that is just a huge monster window. And that has a bunch of different reticle options, but I guess more usable options if you really want them for different things. So that seems like a much better buy for like $300, $350, depending on where you're getting it. Oh, Overton Windex says, debate it. I'm down for whatever, pretty much every evening. Yeah, people just bringing up lots of questions. I'm not a PRS shooter. I don't know anything about that, but I think that would be a fun topic to have at some point. Willie McDuff for $19.99 gives a super sticker. I don't know what that does, but that it's a lot of money to not say anything, sir, but I thank you. I appreciate it. No. Dr. Adolf Sponge says the Glock 19 RMR and SF300 is perfect. This is fluff. I actually disagree. Not about the Glock 19, and the Surefires make good lights, probably the best lights. But the RMR is not a great optic. It's certainly one of the most durable optics, but probably not the best. So, oh, good to hear. Good to hear it, sir. Daniel Drake says, hey, Trip, thanks for the scope. Thing is sweet. Absolutely. I'm glad you're enjoying it, sir. Logan Sucks says heresy. No, here's the thing. If you are not using it on a duty pistol, there is no reason to own an RMR. It is worse in almost every way than any modern optic. The only argument it has is on a cop's handgun where they're going to be using it every day. That's it. No other application I would ever use an RMR for. Not concealed carry, not comp shooting, nothing. The RMR is not a great pistol optic. All right. Now, there was a lot of debate about the ACSS reticle. So let's hear, this is a fun little video that Ben did the other day on the ACSS reticle, because he had a 507C, I think, with it. And he has some thoughts. Yeah. RMR belongs in 2016. I have somebody, is it you? Are you talking about the RMR HD because you're sending me one? Somebody is sending me the RMR HD, which is a very expensive optic. It's like $800. And somebody's sending it to me to review. It might actually be this guy, and he's just asking. I don't have it yet. If you sent it, I don't have it yet. But I will be taking a look at that.
I would not recommend using. Tested it some. The ACSS reticle, I would not recommend using. Tested it some. Very nice that these were sent to me. I wouldn't recommend the ACSS reticle. And before I go too far down this rabbit hole, this is what I'm talking about up here, the ACSS reticle. Now, this is kind of a separate issue from the Holosun sight itself. Holosun sights I like, and I appreciate that they have tons of different reticles and things like that. for example, the 507 comp. It has a bunch of different options. I use one of them, which is the little red dot. Don't really like the other stuff that much, but the ACSS reticle itself is interesting. It is shown right. It's in reverse. It's hard to do. There. It's this thing here. If you're not familiar with it, I'm not sure how big the ring is, like 85 mils, maybe 85 MOA, something like that. It's like a big ass ring.
We all get what the reticle is, right? But he's going to explain why it's probably not the best idea for people who are actually good at shooting and want to be fast at shooting, right? And if you're just using it as a crutch because you're not very good, that's one thing. But the solution for that is just to get better at shooting rather than buying a product to help you be bad at shooting. Just be good at shooting, right? So Logan sucks at shooting for $5 says, to be completely honest, I would agree that the RMR isn't a great dot. I've been contemplating selling both of mine and getting something else. So if you have one, there's not much reason to sell one, right? Especially if you put it in like a really hard use application, because that's what it's good at, right? Do I enjoy looking through an RMR? No. Do I enjoy its feature set? No. Do I think it is... I mean, they do have a lot of different options if you wanted something like really specific. Do I want to use it for any sort of competition or speed shooting? No. Do I like it price comparison to other optics? No. Like I wouldn't buy one, right? Even if it and the Holosun were the same price. There's the Made in America thing, which is nice, of course, but just raw performance wise, if you take out the morality of it, I probably still wouldn't buy it. Right? I don't think it's a great dot. Looking through it is not a pleasant experience, right? And you're paying a lot of money to not be that impressed. Tulip for $5 says more like the ASS reticle. Yes, that is correct. Now, when you talk about the ACSS reticle, we have to be specific. It's the Vulcan reticle, because I think that they might actually be up to over 100 reticles, ACSS reticles. So Dimitri is cooking, but sometimes we just don't know exactly. Excuse me, sorry. Sometimes we just don't know exactly what he's cooking, right?
Here, which with the sight, here we go. With the sight at full extension where the handgun would be, I can see the chevron in the center, and I cannot see this 85 MOA ring around the sight. I mean, it's there. I just cannot see it. So if I can see the chevron in the center, I don't see the ring around it. Again, now, before I get too far down this, I'm not.
I did it again. Damn it. This is going to be rough. Sorry. I'm trying to mute like my noises from with the stuff. So anyways, Logan sucks at shooting for $5 says, I have mine on my concealed carry / competition gun. And that's fine. If you already have it somewhere and you're good with it, no problems whatsoever, right? That's fantastic. But if you're going to go out and buy something, why would you ever buy something, right? Why would you ever buy that? There's so many better options. Like if you're like, I'm going to get a new dot for my USPSA gun, why would you ever buy an RMR for that? If you already have them, great, fantastic. But going out and buying a new one, probably not what I would do. Getting rid of them, if I already did buy them, also probably not something that I would do, because there's not a lot of reason to side grade.
It's not a knock on the Holosun site itself. And I should point out, you can just turn this thing off. So like all the other Holosun stuff that I've played with, you just hold down the minus button and this thing goes away. So it's not like you can't use the sight. The sight is fine. I just wouldn't recommend using the ACSS reticle. Now, what's the idea here? So again, what they were trying to do here. Yeah, Jesus, it's in reverse. It's so hard to do. There it is. What they were trying to do here with this thing is give you a way to find the red dot, or in this case, find the chevron.
Jason Lewis says the Defender ST on my CC, Defender XL on my competition rig. Love them. Those also seem like very good. The new generation of the Defenders seem pretty darn good. So I think that would be a good competitor to like the Holosun 507 comp. I think that would be another really good option. Something that I just need to pick one up eventually. I think their optics cut might still be a little silly, but I know that the new ones are better. The original generation had a bunch of issues, but those do seem like good value alternatives. I think they're very price competitive with the Holosuns as well.
So the idea is you mount your pistol up and you're like, oh, where's the chevron? I don't see it, but you'll see like perhaps the edge of that 85 MOA circle somewhere. And you're like, oh, it's in the wrong place. Yep, there it is. There's the right spot. That's the idea. It's a way to give beginners a way to find the site. Now, this I think is a problem for two reasons. So first, conceptually, what you don't want to do is train yourself to be staring through the optic, trying to find the site. You want to develop that foundational skill of a consistent grip so that when the pistol comes up, it indexes in the same spot, and then the sight is going to be in the same spot. In a sense, you don't look at the gun or look at the sighting system. You look where you want it to be. And with just a little bit of training, the sight's going to go to where you're looking. That's the way you want to do it.
I almost didn't unmute myself for this as well. It says, get Prank in here to show focus how mute works. Yeah, my bad, guys. My bad. I usually don't ever use mute, so that's why I'm a little bit untrained. I need to get more reps in with using the mute button, for sure.
So the idea that you're going to be like looking through the optic to like, oh, find the thing. There's the thing there. That gets me to the other thing. As a training pathway, that isn't what I'd recommend, and that's going to get you focused on the sight. Now, that having been said, even if you're really, really competent with shooting, I still would turn off the ACSS reticle. Why? Well, a lot of the time when you're shooting at close range, I'm going to be reacting to what I'd call color confirmation. My buddy Hwansha Kim calls it confirmation 2. You can articulate it any way you want, but effectively, I'm going to just react to the color of my red dot. All right.
So this is basically what we were talking about earlier, about how it's not great for new shooters to train them to fail and then use the reticle to adjust to the center dot. Like, right, that's probably a bad idea, right, to train new shooters how to do that, because I don't know why you would want that habit, right? Just good grip, fundamentals, point to the target. The dot's already there, hopefully, right? And you just train that over and over and over again until you're very competent at that. And then if you're like, oh, but what about odd positions? Well, just train those odd positions and train to a high level, and then you don't need this crutch, right? That's what most people would probably recommend. And then, of course, for a new shooter or for like very competent shooters where you're going at as fast as humanly possible, you're just looking for color where you want it, and then you break the shot, right? So you're trying to go as fast as possible, right? So like if I'm doing a bill drill, right, at say 7 yards or something like that, I don't actually see the dot. What I see is this streak go up and down, right? So draw to target, first shot's exactly where I want. I see streak, back into the A zone, streak, back into the A zone, streak. So the dot is just bouncing up and down. I'm not really looking at the dot, right? That's dumb. Don't do that. Look at the target. As soon as the little streak goes back where I want it, I just pull the trigger again, right? And that's how you shoot quickly and accurately. color confirmation. No, there are so many different ACSS reticles. And again, if you are using it as a crutch because you're like, oh, I just don't have time to dry fire, I don't have time to train, money to train, whatever it may be, like, all right, fair enough. But I'm just saying it's not a great option for everybody. So let's get into some more actual details about it. Oh dear. Nathan R says it's really attractive for enthusiasts. Ooh, that's good. I don't like the chevrons. My ACSS reticle, wherever I put it, but my ACSS chevron or ACSS Vulcan is just the 2 Amoy dot, 4 Amoy center dot, and then the big outer circle. The HTX one does not have the chevron, so it just has the center dot. Oh, speaking of the Pegasus magnifier, I think that's the one that's on my Jackal at the moment. So the PLX HTX1 reflex sight fits most optics ready pistols, co-witnesses with standard sights, and proudly made in the USA. Now, it does not say 100% made in the USA, only like proudly made. So I don't know, it's one of those things where there could be a few components that are not made in the USA, but it's a high enough percentage that they can put made in the USA on the box, right? Yeah, it's a little expensive. Assembled in the US, assembled, right? Yeah, there's different ways to get around it. Logan says for $2, thanks. Says dry fire the mute button. Absolutely my bad. All right. 0% chance the glass is made here. Does Triticon make their own glass? Are they one of the few people actually making their glass here? But again, it says proudly made in the USA. Not 100%, not assembled. It says made in the USA. So I'd wager some parts are made in the USA. Maybe the mounting plates. But getting into this, can we actually see these in better detail? No, oh, it just pops up that. Lame. Modular chassis system, patent pending modular chassis is compatible with most optics ready pistols, positions the HTX1 with the lowest center line of any enclosed reflex. So you can kind of see how it works. Let me see if I can blow this up. So the optic, so the plate itself gets put into the slide, right? Then you have 2 screws in the front that screw down to the front into recoil bosses. And then you have 2 side screws that screw in the optic to the plate. So very, very secure mounting. So the optic kind of sits down and around the plate. So it's not like a regular where there's a plate and then the optic sticks on top. It's much more of like an optic sits over top the plate and the plate kind of goes up inside. So it is a interesting, unique design. And if you're going to be spending the extra money, like again, $600, $700, well, at least you're getting something interesting. Well, Red Xavier says Motto Memes made the point today that why buy this for $750 when the Acro is $550? Well, it's because the Acro isn't all that great, right? So the Acro might be a little overpriced at $550, and other American-made optics like the Trijicon RMR HD and the RCR are also in the $650 to $750, $800 range. So it's actually price competitive with other American-made optics. So, and it's probably better, right? Well, actually, I don't want to say that because, again, Primary Arms has yet to make a good pistol red dot. They have not made a single one. The SLX, or not even the SLX, the classic line mini micro, not good. The SLX RS10, not good. The GLX RS15, which I have currently, I've tested all their pistol dots, by the way, also not good. Now, the new PLX, the most expensive one, looks interesting. Will it actually be good? Yeah, the RCR has a MSRP of $900. Street is like low 800s, maybe $750 on a good deal. So they are quite expensive. Quite expensive. So you can see that it co-witnesses with standard height Glock sights because, again, it sits very, very low. You're still going to have, the different plates for different optic mounting systems. So now the plates are much more secure than some optics mounting systems out there. So that's like a little better. I don't know how expensive those plates are going to be if you have to buy a bunch or which ones it's going to come with. I'm not sure it's going to come with all of them because I think there's 4 different versions basically. Now, let's see. Ruggedized narrow band glass doublet with a wide band anti-reflective coating resulting in a crystal clear sight picture. It comes with auto live and either a ACSS Vulcan or 4MOE dot reticle. Most people should probably just get the 4MOE dot. Let's see. 1.7 ounces, RMR A, RMR B, and Glock MOS. So there are certain optics mounting platforms that it's just not going to work for. We have our power buttons. We have our 2 front screws, which is kind of an interesting place. Like right in front of the front glass, you have 2 screws, right? You have your side mounted battery tray. I imagine it's still like a 50,000, quote unquote, 50,000 hours battery life, right? Now, I love how one of the features is red dot bright. I don't think that was ever in question. Auto live, modular chassis system, kind of. It's a different plate. It's an interesting plate, but it's still a plate at the end of the day. Multi-reticle, which again, you're probably just going to want the dot version. And let's see. This one doesn't. Let's see. Can I, or is it just, okay, it's just going to take me to different places. I want to see. I'll see if I can find where they list the actual price for both of them. Because I want to see if it's $750 for the Vulcan or if it's $650. Yeah, exactly. That's not much of a selling feature on there. I'm trying to see what's the MSRP on these. Have they said the MSRP? I've seen a lot of people say like 650, 700 in the chat, but I'm actually just looking for somebody who says what the actual MSRP is. Okay, here it is. So MSRP, let me share this tab instead. MSRP on the Primary Arms PLX HTX-1, it's a lot of letters and numbers, is $750. Now, because it's going to be on their own website, it's probably going to be like 700-ish. And then on other websites, it'll probably be under 700 in a few places. And then I think probably the dealer cost is going to be like $550. If I had to guess, maybe $600. So it's not terrible. Well, it's still very expensive. It's one of the most expensive pistol optics out there, for sure. But, I mean, honestly, that price is a little high. But again, it's going to be one of the few, quote unquote, made in America pistol optics, which is a selling point. Now, the 4MOE dot, the one to buy, $700 MSRP. So realistically, street somewhere between $600 and $650. Aluminum, made from aluminum, exactly, yeah. It's a aircraft grade aluminum made from 7075 aluminum. So, not inexpensive. Not at all. Now, let's go here. That's the video we just watched. But one of the things that they announced, because Primary Arms always does, or they've done for the last couple of years, this Discovery series where early January, they kind of announce their products day after day, and then kind of in the lead up to SHOT Show to kind of build some hype and at least show them off a little bit before SHOT Show. So they also announced a couple new PLX-C long-range rifle scopes. So again, PLX is their platinum line. It's going to be the most expensive. I couldn't find much details on these. They have the new ACSS Deca G2 reticle, which again, the names are just kind of silly. And then the ACSS Neptune, which looks like a huge Milgrid Christmas tree. But these are the new 2.5 to 20 by 48. So this is kind of edging into that edging into that Night Force territory. So for those seeking the absolute best in long-range performance, the PLX compact long-range rifle scopes. This is the PLX. It's not listed as a PLX-C, but PLX compact long-range rifle scopes combine the advanced features of our award-winning PLX-C compact. Or no, it is just, I thought they put PLX-C and then compact, but with best-in-glass turrets and glass, both 4.5 to 36 and 2.5 to 20 by 48 models will feature new precision-oriented mill reticles, the ACSS Deca G2 and the ACSS Neptune. So both of these are going to have high-end Japanese glass, which the PLXC does look good. Their Platinum line does have good glass, right? Not the greatest out there, but it's also not the most expensive. The weight is probably 2.5 pounds, if I had to guess. Yeah, it's the NX8 with smaller objective lens. That's kind of what it looks like. Now, let's see. Did we get a different version? What's the RDB version? What am I missing here? PLXC, is this new? Let me see. I haven't actually seen this one. So they have a new version of the PLXC, which is interesting. So let's look at that video real fast. So I didn't even know this was a thing.
Hey everybody, what's up? Steve with Primary Arms Optics with another Discovery 2025 release. Now you guys know and love our PLX compact 1:8x24 first and second focal plane rifle scopes. The first focal plane had a more traditional etch and fill illumination with those either BDC or mill-based kind of Christmas tree style reticles in the Raptor and the Griff mill. Then last year we came.
Yeah, so I just reviewed the PLXC and the Griffin Mill M8 reticle, I think is the one. So this is a couple new reticles and a new reticle design. So let's see what the benefits are.
Out with the second focal plane version of the PLX compact 1:8, and that has our Nova reticle in it, which has a super bright red dot bright center illumination point. When we first came out with the first focal plane, everybody loved it, but they said, I wish the reticle was a little bit brighter. We came out with the second focal plane last year. Everybody loved it, but they said, I wish it had floating elements and still had all the mill stuff that the first focal plane had. Those two illumination technologies are kind of mutually exclusive. You can't make the etch and fill as bright as that fiber wire illumination you can find in the Nova, but the fiber wire illumination in the Nova, you can't cut it as fine, so you can't put it in a first focal plane. Well, now we have the new PLX RDB series of compact 1:8x24 rifle scopes. Same weight and length as its older brothers, so it's extremely light, it's extremely short, but now we're using a diffractive illumination technology so we can get that red dot bright.
There it is. So diffractive illumination, if you're not familiar with it, I can actually show it to you. Shoot. So this is, let me pull it up real fast. This is a unreleased video for gun.deals, but I can show you, whoa, that's loud. The diffractive illumination is incredibly bright. So this is the Vortex Razor HD Gen 3 1:10, but this will give you a idea of how bright this can be. Let's go ahead and share this one here. So this video isn't out yet, but this is the Razor HD 1:10. Let's see if I can show, oh my gosh. So you can see that it gets very, very bright, like almost too bright. Sorry, let me mute that. So this video will be out on the Gun.Deals channel eventually, but you can tell that full brightness, actually I went too far. That full brightness gets insanely bright. Like that, it might be difficult to tell on stream, but that blooms out to like a 20 MOA dot with how bright that gets. And it's still first focal plane because of course, if you zoom in, you still get the full reticle. Now the issue with diffractive illumination, oop, that's right. Let me see, you got to present this again. The issue with diffractive illumination is that it's only bright when you are perfectly behind the optic. So on the Razor HD Gen 3, you have a 34mm main tube. It's a little bit more forgiving. The PLXC is not forgiving at the high end because it's just a 30mm main tube, 8x at the top end. So that diffractive illumination is going to be a little bit more finicky. Very cool feature to have. It will probably be more expensive. So, because it's going to move into probably NX8, low NX8 territory, probably like close to $2,000 is my guess. So $1,500 for the basic PLXC and PLXC Nova, probably $2,000 for the RDB refractive blah, blah, blah illumination system. Yes. Yeah, so Quantum, he is a very good shooter. The Razor 1:10 is my primary 3-gun optic. The red dot is ridiculously bright, can confirm. Yep, and that's with that diffractive illumination. You can still get a first focal plane mill grid, BDC, whatever you want. And then whatever they choose to illuminate with that diffractive illumination just gets nuclear bright. So brighter than some red dots, right?
With the first focal plane floating elements in the etched reticles. So for you guys that wanted that super bright red dot capable fast and close optic, but you still wanted first focal plane so you can engage at distance regardless of what magnification you were set at, you'd still be able to range your targets, you'd still be able to use your BDC. Well, now you can. So at 1x with the illumination turned up, it is truly red dot bright, extremely bright. The rest of the reticle just kind of fades away. It gets very fine and it's almost unnoticeable if you're not really looking for it. As you crank that magnification up, all those extra elements, the ranging elements, the BDC, those milling elements, they all come into the field of view and you can use it just like the other first focal planes. So if you guys do want to know any more information about this, feel free to reach out to us via our social medias, or you can check out our website for every last piece of information you could ever want to know about any of our PLX Compact Series rifle scopes or any of the GLX, SLX, any of the primary arms optics. Everybody, you guys know and
I am so retarded, guys. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I was talking about how I wish they would actually show you in scope footage of it, right? Because they're trying to show the tech. They're trying to show you the fiber bright illumination or the diffractive bright illumination where it's super, super bright. But they don't actually show any footage in the launch video, which is kind of what you would want to see, right? What focal plane is that mute button? Yeah, I need to have like a retard button or something for every time that I make a mistake. Maybe I have to do that like every time I do something absolutely retarded. L2 mute button, subtarded, very focus strip is special. Yes. Yeah, focus thumbs down. Yeah, very, very bad. Unbelievable. Words of wisdom we cannot hear. No wisdom. No wisdom. So okay, I'm gonna have to brush up on my lip reading before I join the stream. Yeah, maybe that would be a good idea. So now I wonder, this does seem like a pretty appealing option, but let's see if somebody has the price for that. Because now I want to know if they actually did increase the price quite a bit. Primary arms, PLX RDB. I wonder why they call it RDB. Running audio like a damn liberal. That's right. Diffractive reticle technology. All right. No, let's see. I just want to know the price. Can you just tell me how much it is, please? Dear. ACSS Nova for PLXC, which we already knew about. R variant reflex sights, which were never good. Or are those now? Okay, no. So now they made the GLX RS15, which I have right here, but in a RMR footprint. Still wouldn't make it a great dot, but at least now it's an RMR. It's over 9,000. SLX, high-powered SLX scope. It's kind of cool. 4.5 to 27. Probably like $500-600. Not bad. But I want to know the price on the new RDB, which I don't see on here, which is a little unfortunate. But you know, I'm not finding a price for it, but I would imagine it's a little bit more expensive. Now, do not redeem the mute button, sir. Yeah, I know. Benjamin for 199 says that new PLXC is compelling. Yeah, I think it was a pretty compelling option before for a generic like first focal plane option with really good glass. That's like cheaper. You know, it's not cheap, but it's cheaper than some other top tier LPVOs. Very small, very lightweight, good 1x performance. The SLX Nova does the fiber optic illumination like a Razer HD Gen or Razer HD Gen 2 1:6. but of course in a much smaller, lighter, and 1 to 8 magnification range, right? So that's very competitive there. Price wise, the it'd be a little bit more expensive than the Razer, again, like $1,300 to $1,500 versus like I think you can get the Razer HD Gen 2s for like $1,000, $1,100 right now. So those are probably still a really good buy, still an excellent scope. You know, if that's what you're looking for in an optic, those are going to be very good. But with the new diffractive illumination, there's only a handful of scopes that do that. You have the Razer HD Gen 3, which is like how much, like $2,500, $2,000, very expensive. And then you have, of course, the Night Force, which is $2,000+, $3,000, fairly expensive. Benjamin Belkin for $199 says 507 comp green dot and no irons on my main squeeze. Can I show this? I can show this. 507 comp, no irons. Also on my quote unquote main squeeze. So great minds think alike. Cyanide for $5 says, going back to Glock and COA for a second, it baffles me that Glock refuses to release their RMR and DPP direct cut slides that they do for LE, but do this instead. Yeah, so we can talk about that because for those who were not around during the beginning, of course, we talked about the new Aimpoint and Glock collaboration, but I was also having trouble talking back then. So the COA is a collaborative effort between Aimpoint and Glock that direct mounts this new optic only onto Glocks. So this specific Glock, right? Which I think it's starting out with the Glock 19. I would imagine it's going to be on other variations as well. Very interesting. Now, one thing that I didn't see yet was the price point, because if you take the MSRP of like a Glock MOS of like $650, $700, and then you double that for the optic, so this is going to be close to like a $1,300, $1,500 package, right? So I think we have some good images here. Oops, go away. So right now on Glock's website, you can find the A cut, Glock 19 Gen 5 A cut with the, of course, the Aimpoint COA, which again, the acronyms are getting quite ridiculous. Now it's a combo, so you can't buy them separately. And people making other optics for this, I don't necessarily see that happening very much. So you're probably going to be stuck with this one collaborative optic from Aimpoint. Now, the kind of good thing about it is that it's not an acro, and so it might not have the same issues that the acro and acro P2 had. Again, its rated battery life is, 50,000 plus hours or something. It sits really low. If we look at the optic itself, you can see how it kind of bevels into the slide itself, and then it actually screws in to the back because there's no screws on the body of the optic. You have like a separate retainer plate in the back that then holds the optic in place because it kind of like cams into position, So it's an interesting idea. You have a side-mounted battery tray right here. So that's how you would replace the battery. Low deck height, no markings on the turrets. Something that was funny that I didn't show earlier was that I think let's go to the physical information. So adjustment, 1 click equals no idea. No one has any idea what the clicks are, but they do adjust it. So that's what they put on Aimpoint's website. Great job. But again, yes, I think it's 70-75, weighs about 2 ounces. They say submersible to 25 feet. The A-cut mounting solution stabilized in all directions and eliminates movement of the optic and allows a reliable hold. And all of this was done because Glock does not want to adjust their extractor geometry or any sort of slide geometry. Now, again, as people have pointed out, they do make direct cut slides for the acro, but they have not done that for any of the other mounting platforms out there. It's something that they could do, and they could release that to the public, but they just don't. So, buy 5, exactly. Yeah, so I think the combo price, again, I haven't seen the combo price, but I would imagine It is not cheap. I would think like, can I get that picture to get bigger? Let's just open a new tab. Fine. So you can see how it kind of cams into position there. I would imagine the combo price is close to like, if not $1,200, like $1,300-$1,400, something like that. So it is interesting. And I mean, hey, it could actually be a better red dot than the Acro, right? So you're getting the Aimpoint name, you're getting the Glock 19 Gen 5, or I would imagine they bring it to the 17 and a few other models as well, right? 45, 48, whatever they happen to be. 47, yeah, would be cool on a 47 because it is a fairly, they rate it as the same size as the Acro P2, but it does not look the same size at all. It looks like a very tall windowed optic. Let's see if they have the physical size on here somewhere. Yeah. Optical information. At least it says 15 by 15, which is very small. I don't know if that's accurate, though. They might just not have their description finalized yet, because it looks like a pretty decent sized dot that is not. Excuse me? Oh, I have it plus. That's why. Can I get? It looks like a pretty decent sized dot without the thickest bevel, because the battery actually sits underneath it, so it's a little bit slimmer side by side, the side profile of it, right? Yeah. Grudge says, same as Acro, smaller housing. It's an illusion it's bigger. Okay, it's possible, yeah, because the Acro does have kind of a bulky housing with a pretty small window. No, that's not true. Ross Earl says, just looked it up yesterday, 800-ish MSRP for the combo. If that were true, this would be the one to get, right? Because that's only like $200 more than a Glock MOS. So yeah, just buy it all day. Why not? Comes with like a decent optic. Heck yeah. It is super low. So it is a low optics cut, can co-witness with, direct Glock sights, which, maybe. No, you don't need to access the battery from the bottom. It's a side-mounted battery. So right here, you have a, little screw you take out, and then the battery tray slides out. So it's not a bottom-mounted battery. The battery is on the bottom of the optic, not on the side, right? So you don't have a big side panel or like a big top panel where the battery fits into. Just for a split second, sir. Dr. Adolf Sponge. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see about it. I think it would be cool if it's good, right? I don't know if it's like $1,500. There's almost no chance that I talk about it because there's no way I'm going to buy another Glock, Gen 5 pistol just to get this optic to talk about. Because it's not like there's no difference with the handgun other than it's cut for the COA. So Unbidden Blitz says, I found an article saying MSRP ranges from $1,000 for the G48 and G43X to $1,165 on the G19, 45, and 47. That's not bad because that means that a retail is going to be under $1,000 for all of those, or right at. So not bad. Overton asks if I play poker. Not well, but I have played poker. Now for $1,000 or under, that's actually pretty competitive. Because let's say I buy a Gen 5 19 or 17 for like 600, 650, and I throw on a even just something basic like a 507C or something, you're looking at close to $1,000, like 900, 950. So if retail price on the Aimpoint COA, combo pistol is about that price, that's not bad actually for a total package. That's not bad at all. Yeah, if it's under $1,000. If it's under $1,000. So. Right, yeah, 1,500 would be the same price as those B&T import Acro Glocks, but with a cut that you can't use and an optic you can't replace. That's the thing. It's possible that other manufacturers would cut slides for it. Maybe. It's doubtful that another optics manufacturer is going to be like, you know what? I'm going to do the same thing. If they would even have rights to do that. Because maybe it's a proprietary mounting system. They have a patent on it or something like that. Who knows? Is hideous a correct descriptor for this Sightmark clone? It's pretty close. It's pretty close. Overton says, perfect. Come play poker after your stream. Yeah, sure. No problem. Well, speaking of end of the stream, I think that's about all I got for today, guys. Sorry for the retardation when it comes to muting and my voice failing in the first 15 minutes. That was kind of rough. But yeah, I think that's all we got. Short stream, short preparation. Just got back last night at 2 o'clock in the morning, and then I slept till about 2 p.m. this afternoon. So that is about all I got for this evening, gentlemen. So yeah, mutardation. Yes, very, very dumb. Very dumb. But I appreciate you guys sticking it out and hanging out so we could talk about all this stuff. Oof, bold marketing. So good, you'll never want to change it. Because you can't, right? Well, that was part of the marketing, wasn't it? It was Glock perfection meets Aimpoint performance, which is funny considering, Aimpoint's last couple forays into the pistol market. Aimpoint actually doesn't update optics very fast usually, but the P1 was replaced very quickly with the P2 because they knew like, oh gosh, we got to make some big improvements to even get close to what some of these other guys are doing for like 1/2 or 1/3 the money. So, well, I got back at 2 a.m. I didn't go to sleep at 2 a.m. So it's a little different. But also, yeah, we traveled. We flew into Denver, and then I had to drive 9 hours to get here at like 2 o'clock in the morning. So I was a little tired. But yeah. All right. Everybody here. Oh, no. COD says for $2, Overton Win Dix is in the house. Yeah, he's been here hanging out. So with all that out of the way, gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you in the next one. God bless.